Hello Internet, Jojo here, and today I want to talk about a certain fight between two muscular, bowl-cut fighters. Mashle from Mashle Muscles and Magic, and Rock Lee from Naruto. Now, these two fighters are destined to be popular matchups for each other, simply because of how they are written and presented, both presented as muscular titans with incredible physical combat prowess. Pretty much. And while Mashle isn't going anywhere anytime soon, like the story, because it was recently revealed that the author lied about it being a short series, which I don't think he did. I think he just misestimated, which means that eventually we're almost certainly going to get this matchup in a death battle, or it'll be very popular among like the hardcore anime death battle fans. I'm leaning more toward that because death battle doesn't really have returning anime characters. Anyways, I want to talk about who I think would win right now. If you want to take the TLDR, Rock Lee. But it's not quite that simple. You see, Rock Lee's winning conditions are the 8th gate, as far as I can tell. Because without the 8th gate, Mashle is likely far faster and far stronger. You see, he dodged what are described as water lasers, which it is a bit iffy to use if they're actually lasers. He has many faster than sight feats and other absurd things that he's done to kind of justify this. Like one time he spun so fast that he filled a balloon, like it was like a metal balloon, a magically enhanced balloon, supposed to be tough, and then popped it from the inside out. Strength wise, he threw a giant monster sky high. So it's very possible that his monster throwing feat simply outclasses Rock Lee's meteor feat, which is why I think that Rock Lee would only win with the 8th gate, because that's his limit. Now, with the 8th gate, I still think Mashle is faster, but Rock Lee has way more raw power. Of course, that leads to the question, can Mashle just stay away enough for him to survive it? Possibly. But the thing is, Mashle doesn't have actual martial arts training. He's not trained to be a fighter. He just works out a lot and does a lot of sports, which is weird because in the world where he lives, sports aren't really a thing. So that gives Rock Lee a significant, I'm talking significant boost, because it's going to come down to an unarmed fight between these two characters. I mean, they're both going to use weapons at first in any sort of animation that would have to happen, because Mashle is incredibly good at adapting his metal iron wand into shapes he wants. Like one time he turned his iron wand into a tennis racket, complete with threads and all. And then Rock Lee has stuff like nunchucks. So they do have options. But it's gonna come down to a fist fight. And the fist fight is not going to go in Mashle's favor because he's not trained that way. He is basically Saitama. No training, really strong. So looking at it like that, Rock Lee has a significant advantage. But eventually, I do think as the story goes on, Mashle will surpass Rock Lee in pretty much every way except maybe power, depending on how much they show. DeathBattle measures the 8th gate to be about comparable to Naruto's moon busting feat, which is in the, I think it's 400 petatons? It's been a while since I caught up. It's in the petaton range. There's a big gap for Mashle to cover there. Pretty much for any character. It's just above where most series are comfortable and just below moon busting. So you very rarely get that dynamic. So unless Mashle goes to moon busting levels or stuff like that where you start seeing the curvature of the planet, it's going to be very hard to justify giving him petaton levels of power. Even if he can reach just 1 or 2 petatons, that's going to be a significant advantage for him because he can likely kill Rock Lee before Rock Lee went into the 8th gate. Of course, no one really cares about that. They want to know 8th gate versus Mashle not holding back. So in that situation, Rock Lee still is probably slower because Mashle dodged those water lasers. It's very possible that he could be 2-3 times faster. So really that's what it comes down to. I would say that I would bet on Mashle as the series goes on and we see more of what he can do, as Rock Lee probably isn't going to have a time to shine ever again. So he's pretty much stuck with what he has in Naruto and Boruto. Of course, Boruto, he might be the center of some arc eventually, but he's probably not going to go kicking moons out of orbit. So that is pretty much it for him. Mashle, on the other hand, doesn't even have an anime out yet, so we can reference that when it does come out. All in all, right now, I think that Rock Lee would win. All he needs to do is land one hit with the 8th gate, and it'll mess Mashle up. Without the 8th gate, Mashle dominates. I think Mashle will eventually get to a level where he is way too fast and too versatile of a fighter for Rock Lee to handle. But this is a big if, because the way Mashle is going now, I'm not sure I could ever justify him surpassing the 8th gate. Because unlike other characters, Mashle's power is very condensed, like Luffy. So it's going to be difficult, but I do think that we will see this fight eventually. Some DeathBattle show out there will do this sometime. I would say don't hold your breath, so don't hold your breath. I want Mashle to win. I will fully admit that. I like Mashle way better than Rock Lee, and I like Rock Lee. But at this point, I find it hard to justify that, outside of not using the 8th gate and the skill difference. So once Mashle can somehow close the gap, I think Rock Lee will always win. But once he does start closing that gap, which it's very possible that he'll start doing that with speed, because the Mashle series takes a keen interest in the speed of characters and objects. I've noticed that quite a bit. So it's very likely that he will get 10, 20 times faster. So I think it's fair to say that eventually Mashle will win. But right now, Rock Lee will win, and his win conditions are the 8th gate. So that was just a hot take I had. I thought of that, and since I've ordered my face reveal, I can do whatever videos I want to do without much effort. Thank you for watching, guys. See you next time. Remember to stay spectacular. JoJo, out.